Okay, so we're going to finish off today b'siyata d'shmaya some of the halachos of Basar B'Chalav that are negayah to Shavuos and negayah every single day, obviously, as we mentioned previously. So we have absolutely tons and tons to do today. Okay, we're going to be flying. Okay, Levi Yitzchak, listen carefully, get your seatbelts on. We are going to be flying through the halachos. There is so much to do, but I want to cram it in because after all, it's coming up to Shavuos in a few days. We have to know Hilchos Shavuos as well. And Be'ez Hashem, tomorrow we're going to be starting with the halachos and minhagim of Shavuos. So we'll start with the first halacha. This one is the first one that's mentioned in Yeridei Simon Peites, and that is the halacha of waiting after meat. That means you ate meat. Now, do I want to eat cheese? How long do I have to wait? Do I have to wait, and when? Okay, that's really the shaila. So, what's interesting to know, and again, like I'm telling you now, I'm telling you again and again this. We're going through skimming the halachas. We could spend hours and hours on understanding the makoros, the sources, the lomdos. We're going straight to halacha namaisa. Is there any makor for 6 hours in the Gemara? No, absolutely no makor whatsoever in the Gemara for 6 hours. Where do we know this from? The Gemara says in Chulin, Ana chala b'chamra. What does that mean? I am vinegar, the son of wine. Meaning my father was wine. Me, I'm just like spoiled vinegar. What's pshat? He says pshat, Somer of Avo. He says pshat. He says, because my father used to wait 24 hours after eating meat before eating cheese. Me, I just wait misuda lesuda, from meal to meal. So I'm not like, who am I already? That's what he says. Well, Chaim Shmulevitz has a whole shtickle Torah on this as well, which I can't mention now, but he goes the whole sugya, says I don't understand. What do you mean? As if your father was so choshev and you're not, so wait 24 hours. What's the problem? What's the problem? If you say your father learned the whole shas every day and you can't, I hear. My father waited 24 hours and I don't. So do it then. What's the difference? So Chaim Shmulevitz tells us, the Gavaldik Yisoid, Parsha that we just had, Parsha B'Chalav, right? We just had Parsha B'Chalav. The Stom of the Oilam went through the 42 pshatim of the Orach Chaim HaKodesh, right? You did? Gavaldik. You remember Perish Hay? What does Perish Hay say? Don't take on chumras before you're busy Me'ikah Adin. You know these people that are busy with chumras, Busy with this chumrah, that chumrah. Go with Me'ikah Adin. Follow the Shulchan Aruch first before you go with all the chumras. That's how you state in Orach Chaim HaKodesh. Perish Hay, Parsha B'Chalav. Zuk Chaim Shmulevitz, that's the pshat. That's the pshat. He wasn't holding there. Don't take on a chumrah that you're not holding by. He didn't want to do it. But not for now. Let's move on. So again, the only makar we have is Masuda Lasuda. What does that mean? Right? That's the shaila. What does that mean? So Tosfos immediately says, how long is Masuda Lasuda? About 15 and a half seconds. Where does he get that from? He says very simple. How long does it take to bench? I'm not talking when you say the words out loud, and it actually takes time to bench. I'm talking when you just you look inside and you're mumbling. Right? How does it take? Seriously. You ever asked a guy to bench for the oilam? Or say ala meche for the oilam? Can I have a sitter, please? I need a sitter. Oh, I see say ala meche every single day after lunch. You don't need a sitter. All of a sudden, if you're mates to the oilam, you need to say a sitter. Because you have to say the words. Very ridiculous. So when it comes to benching, says Tosfos, that's how long it takes. You have to wait between meat and milk. However long it takes to bench. Right? That's number one in Tosfos. Lemaisa, the Rambam, brings down, and some before the Gemara, Psachim, Gemara, Brachas, they bring down that a Suda in those days was 6 hours. That's how long it was. Mimela, since a Suda's Talmud Chacham in the days of Gemara was 6 hours, when they meant Suda to Suda, what did they mean? They meant 6 hours. And as I pass in Halacha Lemaisa, Shulchan Aruch, Yeridei, Semen, Pei, Tes, Sif, Aleph. There's nothing to talk about. 6 hours, as they state. However, the Rambam's Lashon is what? What's the Rambam's Lashon? Hello? Sheish shows like 6 hours, which there's by the way that's the makar for the 5 hour and a bit or 5 hour and 31, which Reb Aaron in Lakewood was makbid that the yeshiva in Lakewood and BMG would dafka have a milchik dinner within the 6 hour, but not actually waiting full 6 hours because of this Rambam. Okay, many people have that minhag either 5 and a bit or 5 and 31, depending if you go with Roiv or not. The Ramah paskins be'ikah like Tosfos, which is 1 hour, he says. We really pass in 1 hour. But the relation of the Ramah is that it's nochoin to wait 6, of which the Shach and the Taz, in the beginning of Yeridei Simon Peites, tell us that anyone that has a reach of Torah, a reach of a shmek of Torah, a little bit of a ben Torah inside him, just a little bit. Avada should wait 6 hours, and as I pass on the Chochmas Adam, and the Chashulchan, that they hold it's a din neder. Kali Yisrael will mamish makabel on themselves this as a neder, and as I pass on be'etzem, Rabbeinu Chanan, the Rif, the Rashba, the Rosh, the Balita, the Meir, Rabbeinu Yerucham, the Torah, the Kol, by the Even Ezer, the Ran, and the Rekeach, and many Gedolei Poskim as well, and that is generally what we do. L'alocha l'maisa. Those people that have a minute to wait less, which we're not going to go into at this moment of time. There's a famous, the Minkach and the Darkei Chiva brings a mincha, brings a mizmah David that says to wait 3 hours, but otherwise on that there's very shvacha makos of waiting 3, because there's more of a curve waiting 1 than it is than waiting 3. But anyway, I don't want to go now into all the different sugyas of should a person change his minig, what about a woman that gets married to a man that he waits 6 and she waits 3, what about faket? These are all shalas that we're not going to go into at this moment of time. Send an email in if you want to hold the answer. Let's move on, or just buy the book. Anyway, next question, Rabbi Say. Let's go weiter. Right? It's a big problem, this feshik thing, by the way, because Lamaisa, people are very scared of getting feshiks. We know that's one of the big things of being a yid. From a yid has fleshophobia, because, do you want to chase the chicken soup? No, I don't want to chase the chicken soup. Why not? No, because then I'll be fleshik. Yeah, and? Well, because maybe I'll want ice cream. But people are scared. It's like benching. Want to wash? No, I can't wash. I can't wash. Why not? Because then I have to bench. It's the same thing, right? Every year Rav Hutner said these are the 3 Eitzaharas of every year. Halavai, these are the Eitzaharas. Right? I could daven there, I could bench, I could parava. As I state Rav Hutner. 3 Eitzaharas. Halavai, these are the Eitzaharas that we're dealing with in our generation, 2021. Hashem Yirachim. Anyway, so Kaponim, these are the things that a person has to realize. It's a very important thing. A Yid once came to Reb Chaim Kanievsky and he asked him for a bracha. And he wanted a bracha for a shidduch. An older guy. He wanted a bracha for a shidduch. And Reb Chaim said to him, Lo yisavach shagdi b'chalev yimoi. Which is our pasuk, right? And they said, what's this all about? So, you know how it goes with Reb Chaim. Once you're there, it's over. So they said to the Gabba, what's pshat? No one knew what's pshat. So his Rebbe sat down with him when he came back to yeshiva and he said, what's pshat? He said, well, I'll be honest with you, I think maybe I know pshat. I wasn't makbid until a couple of months ago of keep waiting 6 hours. I used to eat milk and chocolate within 6 hours. I didn't really care. He said, I came to Reb Chaim Kanievsky and said, how did you know? How did you know? You're a Novi? Unbelievable. He said, no, very simple. The Zohar says, very simple, that a person that's not makbid in these halachos, there's an imprint of a gedi on his face. And I saw it. So I just said, because I realized that's where he's holding. Rabbi said, why do we wait after eating meat? You know the reason why? Just to make life annoying? No, chas v'shalom. What's the reason? 2 reasons. Maybe Yitzchak. No, what are the 2 reasons? Basar B'Chalav, that's the Rambam. Very good. Rashi, Moishech Tam. The taste. You eat those sausages after the barbecue. Wow, it's like a starker taste, right, Nasameya? You know what I'm talking about? You see that you could taste the sausages. I'm not talking about these. I'm talking about the real Chicago. You go to Chicago. You know what I'm talking about? You got that. I never had one in my life, but they say in Chicago there's Zazach, all these chashav sausages. Mistoma for 2 days you can already taste these sausages. You'll take me? We'll go. We have to try that one. See if it's taka true ones.
Go to Crate.
Nah, I'm talking about kosher places. Anyway, let's move on, Rabbi Say. Okay. So the shaila is like this, Rabbi Say. If that's true, we have 2 reasons. What if I have only one of those reasons? I'll give you an example. What if I swallowed a piece of meat without chewing it? Do I have to wait? According to Rashi, Moshech Tam, yeah. According to the Rambam, or Basar B'Chalav, no. Well, let's say go faket. Let's say, for example, the Shulchan Aruch discussed this because in the olden days they didn't have blenders and food presses for babies. Let's say I chew a piece of meat for my child. I just chew it. Now I'll give it to the child to eat because now it's softer. Do I have to wait? I didn't swallow anything. According to Rashi, no Moshech Tam. I didn't swallow it. According to Rambam, yeah, Basar B'Chalav. Zuk the Pim Begodim, we paskanate both. And therefore we're always going to have to wait 6 hours in every single case, even in a situation where you had a small, I'll give you a moment to Maisa. Guy calls me up one time. You know, sometimes people call you up and they say, I've got a really interesting shaila for you. So there I am. I'm all ready with my pen and paper, ready to write it down, right? And sometimes they're like, my milchik spoon fell into. Okay. You know what? I'll tell you an interesting shaila. Okay. There are many, but this is negate now. This is interesting. Last night I got a Gavaldiga shaila from Bulgaria. Anyway, Bacha from Bulgaria, 14-year-old shaila. Murdik. Anyway, so this was the shaila. This was an old man calls me up. He says to me that me and my wife share our false teeth. So we want to know that if I eat meat and I give her the teeth, does she have to continue waiting 6 hours for where I left off? That's the shaila. Rabbi say, there we go. That's it. My pen and paper was working over there. Baruch Hashem, that's an interesting one. I'm not even going to go through the answers, right? What about tasting? Very negay, Rabbi say. A woman wants to taste the chicken soup. Okay? Is she allowed to? Is she allowed to taste the chicken soup? No, Samaya, what are you tying her? She's allowed to taste the chicken soup? She wants to taste, does she have to become fleishik? It's very negative. Nobody wants to be fleishik. She's allowed. What does she have to do? Spit it out and wash out her mouth. That's all. Spit it out, wash out your mouth, you don't have to wait 6 hours. No problem whatsoever, by side. Okay? By the way, when do we start the 6-hour stop clock? By the way, there's an app. I never saw it, but they tell me there's an app because chas v'shalom, should a person wait more than 6 hours and 00 seconds after eating meat before he can eat milk? Chas v'shalom in 2021 to do that. So they have an app, you press bing, and then it will just give you a ring and, okay, you are now milcheks. That's that generation that we're living in, right? So what's the question? When do we start the stopwatch? From when you like finish eating the meat or the Suda? How does it work? From the Suda? Even if, meaning I had dessert for an hour, I have to start from the end of the Suda. You and Aruch HaShulchan Yid. Moiridik. Nobody said we don't pass in that way. And we go by the end of the meat, right? That's how it is. We go by the end of the meat. Somebody asked from Chaim Kanievsky, somebody told him, what do you do? Leave the guy alone. He wants to sit and learn Torah. Now, is it from when you put it in your mouth? Is it from when you start chewing? When you finish chewing? Let him finish Shas and Poskim. Let him be Matzel, the ganze Welt. Leave out that question. Let's move on to Rabbi Sai.
Tiny piece of meat stuck in your mouth.
Oh, so Moiridik Shaila. I remember I was learning these halachos with my chavusa, and it was like in the afternoon. And in the middle of the learning session, my chavusa okay, let's continue. I'm like, what did you just do? What did you just do? What did you just do? He said, no, I ate meat for lunch. I had a little bit. Aha! You have to start waiting again or not? All over again. He's like, oh no, don't do that to me. I have ice cream for supper tonight, right? So what do you do? What did we do? We went down to Shiva Zatzal. We went down to Reb Scheinberg. I went to ask them a shayla. There's that opportunity to ask Gedolim such a shayla. And he told me, Be'etzim is Mavur in the Shach, it's not M'shem Maran, that you don't have to wait 6 hours for that. You don't have to continue, start waiting all over again. Because it's already in your teeth, and the Maisa we pass, once it's in your teeth, it starts to get already a little bit not so geschmack in that case over there. So generally you can be makel in that case, Rabbi said. Next, Rabbi said there's a lot of shaylas. What makes you wait 6 hours? What is going to cause you to wait 6 hours? So obviously meat, chicken soup, Rabbi Yonis said that's poshet, that we all know. What about what we call a tavshil shel basar? For example, let's take a classic case. I take a potato out of the cholent, I wash it under the faucet, so there's nothing on the outside, and I eat it. Do I have to wait 6 hours? Yes. I do. I do? Yeah. Yes. Why? It was cooked zusammen with fleisch. So what about if I go to a store where they're selling French fries, and at the same store they fry the French fries in oil that was fried schnitzel? What's the din? Yeah. You have to wait 6 hours. People don't know this, right? People think, oh, it's too good. No problem whatsoever. What if they ask for Moshe? There's a tshuva of Moshe, English Moshe, Kabbalah tshuva. What about a liver pill? They have liver pills with mamish liver inside it. That's good for people that need it, whatever. You have to wait 6 hours? They says no. Why not? And that's why it's the reason of Rashi. Swallow it whole. You don't have the Moshe time. Oh, beautiful. Says Yitz, you don't know Basar B'Chalav. Oh, don't know Gavaldik today. I'm moedig. Rabbi say Gavaldik. What about not Barnat? Huh? We did this already, right? What is not barnat? Again, I take potato, rice, pasta, whatever it is, noodles, and I cook it in a fleishik ben yoimoy pan. It was used 20 minutes ago with mama's steak. Do you have to wait 6 hours after that pasta? Absolutely not. Obviously, if the pan was clean, right? What about if it's a dove chorif? Chiddush B'Kivei, I say today. What if you cut an onion with a fleishik knife? So we said that onion is a din of fleish mamish. It's a piece of meat. Nafkamini, you need shishim, the whole business. You don't have to wait 6 hours. As a pasuk b'kivega, in an oven as well. Okay, we're not going to ovens right now, but if you made challahs in an oven that was used for flesh, you do not have to wait 6 hours in that case. I had this, I don't want to say, discussion with Rav Moshe Sternbach when on the way home once to his house after shul. So I discussed this with him. I said, if you cook a challah in an oven that was used for meat, you have to wait 6 hours. He says, Avada. I said, huh? There's no Moshe Tam, no Rashi. There's no Basar B'Chalav Rambam. Well, yeah, no there. Lo zachit lahaven. I don't know, but the Maisa, I would not tell anybody to wait 6 hours after such a case over there. Now, since the Maisa, and again we're skipping many stages, that what we said was it's a minig, and it's a minig that clothes will be covered on the self to wait 6 hours. Many times you can be makel on that minig, right? Not svardim. Svardim obviously are much more machmir. By the way, I mentioned to you that the Gemara says 24 hours, right? Gemara in Chul and Kofei, right? If that's the case, is anyone holds 24 hours? So there is a Zohar Kodesh. The Zohar Kodesh brings down that a person should wait 24 hours between meat and milk. And in fact, one of the Chotkever Rebbes actually was noyig this way, and he used to wait 24 hours after eating meat, but then he was stuck. When was he stuck? stuck on the Heilige Yontav of Shavuos, Inzer Shavuos. Why was he stuck? Because the minhag of Klal Yisrael was to eat milchik, as we'll discuss Be'ez Hashem tomorrow. If that's the case, he wanted to eat milchik, but he had a problem. He kept one day Yontav, was in Eretz Yisrael, and therefore he ate fleishes, because Sudas Yontav. Now he wants to eat milchik, so that's the minhag of Klal Yisrael, but he can't, he has to wait 24 hours. So what does he do? Who has Eitzah? Who didn't hear it from me? Who has Eitzah? Who? What, at night, Motzi Yontav, you mean? No, you want to eat meat, we want to eat fleishes. Yontav. Want to have a Suda. So what did he do? He took a milchik spoon and he dipped it into his tea. Oh, this I'm going to be Yaitza Minig Klal Yisrael. Anyway, there's a... Okay, Rabbi, so we have to go back to. And therefore we can be making on certain cases. For example, a person is sick and the doctor says he must have milk every hour. So he can be makel and have milk after 1 hour. Children, without going into details, right, of which age, but many, for sure young children have to be makbid b'chlal. In order to see in Chelik Gimel brings down, you can be makel even down to bar mitzvah. What about sleeping? Sleeping, there's a famous Chassam Sofer. The Chassam Sofer says that he used to be makel, that after his shlof, which wasn't so long, what do you think, the Chassam Sofer slept? Hello, when did he have time to learn? So Avada, he didn't sleep so much, so he was makel to have milchiks, a coffee, after sleeping, even if it was less than 6 hours. Until one day. I don't know what one day is, but until one day, he says he was making a coffee, and he put the milk in, all of a sudden the whole coffee spilt. He said, Vaistos Shemaim is not masking with my psak, and he started to wait 6 hours. They bring, in the Sefer Vayoma Avrom, I checked this with Israel, I asked him, I said, Yeshvez Mekel? So he told me it depends what. There are poskim more Mekel that after sleeping a good gazinta sleep, there's more of a mokim to be Mekel of waiting 6 hours because the digestion works quicker. But according to most poskim, that's not going to be a cheshbon that most of us are going to get to. What about a suffix? What if you're not sure? Again, if you don't have the app, and you're not sure exactly when you finished your meat, could you be Mekel or Machmeh? In the case of waiting 6 hours, so I asked this question to Rabbi Chaim Kanievsky Shlita, and he told me that you could be Mekel. Even though the Yehuda and others are Machmeh, but he told me you could be Mekel. It's a suffix to Rabbanah, suffix in a minute, whatever it is, you should be Mekel. Of course, the person has to be careful, right? What if you made a bracha? What if a person, Rabbi said, these shalos are endless. What if you made a bracha on a piece of chocolate or ice cream within 6 hours of meat? You can't just ignore it. A bracha is a shalav d'oraisa. It's a shalav d'oraisa. If you shoot the Saramba, maybe. So what do you do? So Moshe Sternberg writes, as it's after an hour, lick some of the chocolate, have some of the milk. Why? So your bracha is not a bracha of atala. The minhag of 6 hours, but say to me, have a bracha of atala shayla. I asked the same question to Rabbi Chaim Kanievsky. So you know what he answered me? He said to me, say, Baruch Shem Kavod Malchusei La'olam Va'ed. Like you say after the tefillin, the Shul Shalosh, right? That's what we do. That's what he says to wait, to say Baruch Shem in that case. So I said the shalos are endless over here. Tell you, Mordecai Maisa, a guy calls me up one time, and he's whispering. Now, this is the simon Rabbi said. When a guy calls you up with the shaila whispering, it means he doesn't want his wife to hear the shaila. Either because he doesn't want his wife to know that he's in total amoritz and didn't learn any halacha, and therefore he doesn't want him to, or there's something going on over here, right? So what was the shaila? The shaila was he was within Shana Rishona, and his wife hadn't yet become a good cook, and it was really bad. It was really, really bad. So he used to buy himself shawarma, falafel, some malagala, whatever it was, something on the way back to eat something, because he couldn't leave the house the rest of the night. So what's he going to do? He's going to starve. So that night, via balayla, a festa shawarma. Comes home, his wife says to him, Shleimela, I spent the whole day on the most beautiful milchik meal you ever saw in your life. Now what does he do? I need the bathroom, he says. Just give me a minute, please. What's your Shana Rishona? The Shana Shalom Bayis, Mamish Koch Nefesh over here. This is not stam. Told you, I'm teaching you Shalom Bayis over here. This is not stam. What do? So I'm not going into all the shadows at this moment of time. There is a mokum to be mativ neder in that case, but I'm not going to at this moment of time. Rabbi, so let's go weiter. That is legabe after meat, right? After cheese. Right? After cheese. Now, from the Gemara, apart from the Zoya, from the Gemara, there is no makar of waiting after eating cheese. Only after meat, Mufresh Gemara, Kufay and Chulin. After cheese, there is no makar. Zoya brings it down. Suda Chada, Shaita Chada, Ramosha Shtabu Chuvas Vanachos Chelik Beis, Kufay Beis. That talks about the sugya of Samach Lasuda. Not going to our sugya of the Mishnah, Samach Lamincha, Chatzisha. Not going to the sugya right now. But there are three things that you do need. What are the three things that you need between dairy and meat? Kinuach, Hadocha, Netilis Sudayim. Kinuach, Hadocha, Netilis Sudayim. Right? See base. You're a day, simple pig test. And therefore you've got to be careful of what you do between one and the other. Negeya to us. Those people that have a milchik kiddush right before they have their fleishik suda, very negeya. And Yontov, number one, you have kinuach. What does kinuach mean? Kinuach means to eat something pariv. With the exclusion of something that's a leafy vegetable or something flour or dates that gets stuck, like a candy. In other words, the best thing to have is like a potato chips or pretzels or cookies or cake, things like that. right? You shouldn't have like lettuce or candy. That's not going to help you because it's only going to push the meat in. It's not going to take it out, right? How should be Zolo Bach? I said, Rebbe, can you use a toothbrush? Remember, it's Yom Tov, right? So he told me, apart from the Shiloh of Yom Tov of Moshe, 5 things that you have to have if you use a toothbrush. If you're allowed to use a toothbrush on regular Yom Tov, it's not going to bleed, and you don't squeeze, and you don't use liquid, whatever, and you don't use toothpaste, then Avada, you're allowed to use a toothbrush in that case. Hadocha. Hadocha means to rinse out your mouth. That means after you've eaten the parav, you then rinse out your mouth, right? The Shach says, Lamaisa, there's no order, whatever, but the Darki Tshuva, the Minkatcher, says you should do first the Hadocha, the kinuach, and then the hadocha, right? First eat something, then you rinse it out. The next is netila. Now, in those days, they used to eat with their hands. Nowadays, we eat with forks, so people are much more makel. Obviously, you might say, you don't have to have it. It's not a din netila when it is done. You can even use a baby wipe. Not a Shabbos chasusham, not a Yom Tov chasusham. During the week, you could use a baby wipe because you can get rid of the shamnunis, the grease that you have of the cheese in that case. Now, it's a very big problem over here because you ever saw anyone do this? You ever saw anyone that says, one second, I can't eat meat right now because I have to do kinuach and hadocha? Hello? We said, by the way, if you remember, the Chassam Sofer says, this is the ikku reason of Kabbalah Satorah. The whole Kabbalah Satorah comes from here. Unbelievable. So the Meister, Rabbi Zul Obach told me, which Be'etzim is before in the Shach, that after 1 hour, you don't have to do Kinuach Hadocha, and that's very nagea. So if you have a Kiddush and you have an hour break, you do not have to do Kinuach Hadocha in that case over there. If you have a minig of waiting an hour, which some Hasidim do, or half an hour, then Avada, you keep your minig. But if you don't have a minig, you do not have to take on a minig. And the last shaila Rabbi said today is the hard cheese shaila. I know there are people running around saying Mishtar Zazach doesn't exist, we don't have cheese. The Ramah said that there is hard cheese, we do have hard cheese, and it does exist, and it's a 6-hour cheese. And the real makor for the whole shaila actually comes from a maisa of the Maram. The Maram was used to laugh at people who waited after eating cheese until him himself was eating meat, and he found a piece of cheese that was stuck because it was so hard in his teeth. Says the Marshal, the Yamshal Shloima, on the Maisa of the Maram, apikursis. Lashon of the Marshal, Rabbi Yisai, on the Maram. How can he do such a thing? Just because something happened to him? Hey, Meili has to make exeir on ganz Klal Yisrael, and therefore the Maisa, you don't have to do it. And the Ramah brings it down to halacha that if you have hard cheese, then you have to wait 6 hours. The same thing as eating a piece of meat. What is the definition of hard cheese? Good question. So here you have to look at the Shach, you look at the Taz, and see based on your day of Pites, and that is 2 things. Number 1, wormy. Number 2, 6 months. So wormy cheese, by the way, you can go to places in this country, and they will have gvina mutulaas. Wormy cheese. There are live worms inside, they are milchik, and you can eat them. They never left the cheese. That's kavaldik. Number 2, 6-month cheese. Many of our cheeses, I called up the cheese factory, right? Again, you guys are sitting and learning. I'm calling up the cheese factory, Tunuva, and I'm asking them, I have a list, right? Not negate now, because we haven't got time to be married and all the sugya. But Lamaisa, many of the cheeses are A, 6 months, and number 2, Belski's that sell pastas. He has a tshuva in Shevet in Shulchan Alevi Chelik Aleph, where he tainas that the processing and the packaging can also lend to be the 6 hours, to be 6 months, which means many of the cheese that we get could be 6-month cheese, and therefore that's why in America, for example, as far as I remember, the OU Paskin, that Parmesan cheese, you do have to wait 6 hours because it is actually 6 months in that case. The shaila is, or many of the cheese that we have, what we call gvinet zehuva in Eretz Yisrael. So it's interesting that many of the Gedolim in Eretz Yisrael were machmeh, like the Moshe Sternberg, like the Shevet HaLevi, like the Minchas Yitzchak, Rav Elyashiv. They were all machmeh that you have to wait 6 hours. But the Ma'aseh, most of the Gedolim poskim in America for sure held that that's not really what they meant. Rabbi Yaakov Kamenetsky used to say that the only hard cheese is you need a hakmesser, you need a saw in order to cut it, which is not negated to most of our cheese, which is why most poskim are makel on that case, especially, by the way, like the Yad Yehuda, if it's melted. Once it's melted already, then a person can for sure be making in that case. All right, I say the idea from these halachos was to remember that on Shavuos we should be keeping these halachos, remembering these halachos. Tomorrow, b'siyata d'shmaya, we start the halachos of Shavuos. Have a wonderful, wonderful day.